Hello, everyone. And can you hear me okay? All right, awesome. Thank you. So first off, thank you all for being here, right? Clearly, I'm the only New Jerseyan in the room, right? No one else got excited when he said New Jersey. There's another one. Shout out to you, right? I won't say we're the best. We got more of you. All right, good. That's great. Then where was the woo? You're not from Jersey if you didn't woo. Yes. You are not holding us proud. So listen, times ran a little late, right? We told you all would be here from 6 to 9. I'm committed to having you out. You don't have to leave. We'll have dessert. We have food. You can hang out and enjoy the beautiful view. My goal and outcome in these next 45 minutes is to educate you, right? Potentially entertain you, and have a real, honest conversation together, right? Some of you are here because of the No Surprises Act. Some of you are here because you were invited. Some of you have no idea why you're here, right? And everything in between. Maybe it was the food or the view, I don't know. But I want to support all of you, right? For some of my folks that enjoy certainty and to know what's going to happen, right? First, I have nothing to offer you and nothing to sell you, right? This is not network marketing. We're not going to have Cutco knives. I'm not selling you health pills like isogenics, nothing against that. That's not the conversation we're going to have, right? The conversation we are going to have is about the war that we're in against insurance companies and the importance of staying independent in the medical community. Because whether we want to admit it or not, we're at war. And unfortunately, we're not losing, but we're not winning. And the reasons for that is what I want to have a conversation about today, over the next 42 minutes and counting. So here's what we're going to discuss, right? And this is an open conversation. Feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to interrupt me. You will not take me off my flow, I promise, right? And as long as we meet each other with respect, we'll have a good time. If not, things will get interesting. So here are the 5 things I hope to cover in these next 41 minutes. Number 1 is, what is the No Surprises Act? Right? Number 2 is, who am I? Who is Callagy Recovery? And why should it matter to you? Number 3 is, how does this whole process work with federal IDR? Where does the money come from? It sounds so complicated. How does it work? What happens? How long is it? Number 4, it's, what's the potential impact for you? Why should you matter? How can it impact your life and your business? And number 5, if there's interest in doing something together, what are those steps and what can we do? And throughout that conversation, I'll pause, I'll open up the floor, and I'm happy to take any question, large or small, and you don't have to wait for those breaks. You can ask them at any time, right? So let's take a brief path down history lane and explain. Let me ask this. If you heard of the No Surprises Act, just please raise your hand if you've heard of it. Perfect. If you believe you can come up here and talk for an hour about it and sound like an expert, raise your hand. Perfect. Dr. Houston, you and I are going to do this dance. So let me slow it down then. That's important for me to know. So let me not skip the history. I think it's going to matter. So the No Surprises Act was a law that was passed in 2020, which was 6 years ago. And the purpose of the No Surprises Act was to protect the American people from being balance billed. That was the purpose of the No Surprises Act. And I'll give a contextual example of that in a moment. It had nothing to do with supporting medical providers and recovering money from insurance companies. Originally, its intent was to protect the American people from being balance billed. That was its purpose. And it was passed in 2020, enacted in 2022. And if you know anything about it, it got a pretty bad reputation as not being economically feasible, not being friendly to the medical community, being incredibly complicated, and a lot of things happened. The Texas Medical Association sued CMS for its interpretation, righted the ship, and since 2024-ish, 2025, it's been an incredible vehicle of growth. On the back end of the No Surprises Act, the Federal Independent Dispute Resolution System was created. Federal IDR for short. I'm going to share a lot of acronyms. They're all designed to make me look smart, and it's really not that complicated, right? If you've heard of the federal IDR system and you're not Dr. Houston, raise your hand. Okay. Thank you, Dan. You're on my team. I would expect you to know that answer. The purpose of the federal IDR system is a system. It's a very important system. And it's a system that does 3 things. Number 1, it takes the patient out of the dispute. Number 2, it puts in an unbiased third party known as an arbiter in the middle. And number 3, it takes the power away from the insurance companies, which I'm very happy that that does. Dr. Houston, would you agree? All right, Dr. Houston agrees. We're doing good so far. You keep me honest, all right? If I lie at any time, just tell them all I'm a liar, okay? So that's what the federal IDR system has done. And the purpose of the federal IDR system is to give the medical community, whether you're a medical provider, whether you're a billing or RCM company, right? Whether you're an executive, whether you represent an association, the ability to recover money from insurance companies, which I will break down and explain in just a moment. Historically and contextually, that's all I need you to know. The No Surprises Act, NSA, was designed to protect the American people. The Federal Independent Dispute Resolution System, federal IDR, was designed to help the medical community arbitrate, not litigate, against insurance companies for more money. So that's point number one. Before we go into point number two, is who are we, what have we done, and why should that interest you? Any questions just on what the No Surprises Act is, its purpose, federal IDR? Anyone have any questions on that so far? Going once, going twice. So who is Callagy Law and who is Callagy Recovery? Callagy Law started 28 years ago in the great state of New Jersey as a healthcare law firm. We did personal injury protection, we did workers' compensation, and we did commercial insurance. We had 51% of the market in New Jersey, so we got bored and we started following the state surprise bill laws in New York, Florida, Texas, California, Arizona, Ohio, and we spread out and we branched out. And in 2020, right, 2020, right, when all this started happening, we started piquing a lot of interest. And we realized that this could be something incredible for the medical community. Because as Callagy Law, our mission is to support the medical community in staying independent for 28 years. And to give you perspective, in 28 years, we've helped the medical community recover $1.17 billion, right, with a B, 1.17 billion. That is a precise number in 27 years. When the No Surprises Act happened, we had 180 employees. We were in 10 states. We took 80 employees and we created Callagy Recovery, right? It's a sister company that's not a law firm. And in December, which was last month, we helped the medical community recover $100 million in the month of December, right? These are not hyperbolized numbers. These are factual, real numbers, right? $100 million. And my personal goal is by June 30th of this year to be at $250 million per month. That's why I'm here with you and Mike and Kawhi and Jason and Araj and Dan and the rest of the team, because I have a fiduciary responsibility to support the medical community. Outside of the fact that we've done this and we've done this, here's what really matters to me, right? What really matters to me is that we're creating a 501c3 known as the Callagy Institute of Doctorpreneurs. And we have some extraordinary members on our board. And the purpose of that 501c3 is to support the medical community in staying independent. I've been invited by Indemed, INDEMED.org, which is a group that started 45 days ago, who has 70,000 physicians as members of it. That's a 501c4 to be on their board. And the sole purpose of Indemed is to make sure the No Surprises Act stays enabled. Last Thursday, I was in Washington, D.C., speaking to senators and congressmen about what's known as the Enforcement Act, which creates triple damages for insurance companies not paying on time. I'll tie that all together in a moment. But here's what I want you to know. What matters to me is the fact that I get to lead Operation Medical Independence. What is Operation Medical Independence? It's a group and a coalition that I'm bringing together of statewide medical societies. I'm currently right now partnered with 14 of them, the Congress of Neurological Surgeons, the American Association of Orthopedic Executives, the State Medical Associations of Mississippi, New York, Alaska, Iowa, Louisiana, Alabama, New York, New Jersey, Florida. I speak to the board on Monday, as well as the Florida Society of Anesthesia. And I'm in conversation with either board approval or legal review with about 42 other ones, to be precise. And what we're doing is coming together as groups and as members, because here is why you should be very uninterested with the numbers I'm sharing with you. Because we will do 1.2 billion this year, and it took us 27 years to do 1.17. But here's the problem. The problem is in May, when Congress asked Sean Callagy, my mentor and co-founder, to testify against the insurance companies for what they are not doing optimally for the medical community. Here's what they shared. and this is what lights a fire under my belly, is that as of May of last year, 90% of the eligible files and counters that could have been arbitrated through the system are not, for two reasons. Would you like to guess what they are? One, lack of education. Two, fear of insurance company retribution. That 90% equates to $500 billion that the insurance companies are stealing from all of you every year just through the No Surprises Act, let alone everything else they're doing. And don't even get me started on that. So as you can see, 1.2 billion a year looks insignificant when compared to $500 billion a year. That's why I can't do it alone. That's why I'm not here to sell you on a service. I'm here to enroll you into the truth that you are at war, whether you want to accept it or not, and you don't even know it. You don't know the tools. You don't know what to do. You don't know this is available for you, and it's my job to share it. And I can either stand in front of Starbucks and meet all of you, or I could do this. I could partner with the California Medical Association. I could travel the world and have these conversations, which I have 1,500 of these a year. I was in South Carolina on Wednesday. I'm here today. I'll be in Florida on Tuesday. And I do it with a smile on my face because somebody has to. I look for no accolade. I look for no applause. What I ask for you is to take action. So on our background, that's who we are. That's who I lead. That's who I am. And why should it matter? Because here's the bottom line. Please don't be part of that 90% statistic. And this will be the most dramatic thing I'll say in our 34 minutes together that are left. And please, I don't mean this disrespectfully. I say this to create an image in your heart and mind to capture your attention. The medical community, most of them, not all, I don't know your names, so I'm not offending you. They're almost like a dog who's been mistreated for a very long time. What does that mean? It means that if you try to feed a stray dog who's been hit, abused, and neglected, and you try to give them food and water, what is that stray dog gonna do when you try to give them food and water? Is it gonna walk up and cuddle? Or is it gonna try to bite you? It's gonna try to bite you. And that's what the medical community sees and acts when they hear the No Surprises Act. I don't wanna try something new. I've heard this before. You slick talking New Jerseyan. This isn't real. This is a loophole. This isn't gonna work. I don't wanna try. I'm just gonna keep getting screwed over, underpaid. I'm just gonna keep helping people. I didn't do this for the money. I did it because I love people. I don't care that I have to miss my children's games. I don't care that my relationship is strained. I don't care that I don't get all the things I deserve. I don't care that I miss time with my family. And of course, that's not true. You want to know how I know? Because you wouldn't be here listening to some random dude named Fernando if you didn't want change or something new. So I might not know your name, but I know you're here, and I don't take that for granted, so thank you. So before I go into number 3, which is how does this whole business model work? Just any questions on who we are, Callagy Law, Callagy Recovery, background, blah, 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 blah. Any questions on those points before I move on, please? So let me explain the model. You got something, Dr. Houston? I can feel it. No? Cool. All right, 29 minutes. So here's how the whole model works, right? I think the easiest way to explain it is a story, so it doesn't sound that complicated, right? Because the No Surprises Act is for a few categories of people. It's for anyone that does emergency work on call at a hospital, emergent surgery. It's for anyone that fits into the category of an inadvertent provider, right? Anesthesia, IOM, physician assistant, radiology, inadvertent. I'll explain the categories. The third is a little gray, is if you're a primary surgeon doing elective surgeries in an in-network facility, right? Those are the categories that if you're in one of those 3, this should be interesting to you, right? We work with 3 categories of people. We work with individual surgeons and groups. We work with single hospitals and chains of hospitals. We work with billing and revenue cycle management companies. Those are our clients. That's who we could do business with, right? That's who we work with. We have a long list in all 50 states as we speak, have tons of references, etc. But let me give you the scenario of how this works. So let's pretend all of us have a friend named John, right? Let's call him Johnny Boy, right? Johnny. And for whatever reason, Johnny decided to be a hero and clean the gutters on the second floor of his house. I don't know why on God's green earth he would do that, but he decided to clean his own gutters. So his wife's in the living room, his son's in the basement playing video games, and his daughter's in her room reading a book. And Johnny is cleaning the gutters on a ladder on the second floor. A gust of wind pushes Johnny off the ladder and he falls in a bush. He cracks his skull, he breaks his elbow, and he gets a couple lacerations. His wife hears a thump, looks out the window, screams and panics, runs out, and through pure adrenaline, is able to pick him up and shove him in the car. Of course, Johnny's wife in that moment is thinking, I wonder if the hospital I'm going to go to accepts my insurance. That is not what she's thinking. That was a joke. Thank you for not laughing. What she is thinking about is, my husband gonna die? Are my kids gonna lose their father? You with me? That's what she's thinking about. So they go into insert hospital in California here, right? And they admit Johnny. What happens to Johnny? Johnny gets admitted. He meets a general surgeon. A bunch of things comes in. Maybe there's some employed surgeons, and maybe there's a couple on-call surgeons, right? The neurosurgeon's at his kid's soccer game, gets a phone call. Johnny decided to be a hero. You got to come in. You got to fix his skull. Then we got Tommy, the orthopedic surgeon, was about to board a flight to Aruba, gets called in. Hey, you got to fix this guy's elbow. You got to come in. Then Travis, the plastic surgeon, is chilling with his wife, watching Cinderella with his daughter, and he has to go in and take care of Johnny's lacerations. Right? These are on-call surgeons. They go in, they deliver the service, and for the sake of the story, let's pretend the next day Johnny's chilling, he's good, he wakes up, he leaves the hospital, and everyone goes, yay. Except 6 months later, he gets hit with a $250,000 bill. If you'd be excited to get hit with a $250,000 bill, say yes. I want to see if everyone's paying attention. Of course you don't want to get hit with that. Now, here's the beautiful part. That's not going to happen to Johnny because of the No Surprises Act. Johnny is chilling. He doesn't have to pay that money. Johnny gets to live his life, and life is great for Johnny. But now, what happens to Tommy, the orthopedic surgeon, who went in on call? How does he get paid? What's his story? Let me tell you Tommy's side of the story. So Tommy's going to do the surgery, and the way the law is written is that he has to bill Johnny as if he's in network, even though Johnny had out-of-network commercial insurance. Right? This is for out-of-network commercial insurance, not Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, or any CAID. So now Tommy, the orthopedic surgeon, for the sake of easy numbers, he's going to bill $10,000. The insurance company is going to use an average QPA, an average in-network rate, which is typically about 5 to 10% of the bill. Aetna, Horizon, Cigna, Blue Cross says, Tommy, I got you. Here's $1,000. Right? Now here's Tommy's options. Tommy has 4 options. 1, he could be an ostrich. He could have his head in the sand and say, I'm just going to take my $1,000, do 10 more surgeries, and I'm going to write off my losses. I don't want to deal with this. This is complicated. This is scary. I don't want to do this. I'm just going to be an ostrich. Don't be an ostrich. Option number 2 is Tommy could be entrepreneurial and say, I'm going to try to arbitrate in-house. I'm going to do this myself, which is possible, but it's expensive and it's complicated because there's a 30-day statute of limitation, which I'll come back to. Option number 3 is he or she, Tommy's, that he can outsource this to their billing and revenue cycle management company, which PS, most of them outsource it to us because there's really 2 types of RCM and billing companies. 1, they don't do arbitration. 2, they do arbitration. And if they do, they're either doing it well or they're not. Those are the categories. And most of them try and eventually call a company like ours and we work together in partnership. The 4th option is they thank their higher power for finding you and finding us, and we help them arbitrate their underpayment. So how does it work? This will be the most complicated part of the story, right? I'll go quick. So Tommy bills 10,000, gets paid $1,000. Let's say I know Tommy, right? Mike, you introduce me, we become a client. Here's our business model, by the way. Our business model is 100% contingent based. Tommy does not have to pay me $1 to work with me. We sign a BA, we're HIPAA compliant. We sign a CFA, a contingency fee agreement, and we also front all the filing fees, which I'll explain in a moment. So for all of those keeping score at home, it's an asymmetrical risk. I front the money, I front the energy, I front the time. I only get paid if you make money first. What's the catch? There's no catch. The biggest catch, it sounds too good to be true. That's my biggest hurdle, but there is no catch. So let me finish the story. So Tommy bills 1,000, right? He's gonna get paid, or Tommy bills 10, he gets paid 1,000. Tommy has 30 days, not from the surgery, but from the moment of underpayment, to put in what's known as an offer to negotiate. If Tommy misses that deadline, he loses recourse, he can't recover money. So every 30 days that we are not doing this, you are literally taking money and throwing it in the fire because it's gone forever. But let's say we know each other. Tommy's going to give us their EOB, their 835, their 837, the patient demographics, the clinical records, a bunch of other information, and we become their initiating party. We pay $115, which is non-refundable. We pay it to the CMS. We pay the $600 to $900 arbitration fee. It's about $1,000 on average. And we put in an offer to negotiate. The insurance company then has 30 days to respond. And whether they respond on day 3, 11, 27, or 30, you then have 4 days to go into baseball-style arbitration. So imagine you're doing 10 of these a month, and you have 10 30-day windows, 10 31-day windows, 10 4-day windows. It could be very easy to miss any of those deadlines. And if you miss them by a second, a minute, an hour a day, you lose. Done, no second chances. We don't miss, right? We don't miss. We then go into what's known as baseball-style arbitration. Who here has heard of baseball-style arbitration? Let me tell you what this is not. This is not the ERISA process. This isn't dealing with denials. This isn't suing the insurance companies. It's arbitration. Here's what baseball-style arbitration is. Carrier, arbiter, us representing you. Everyone has to submit what's known as a reasonable offer, right? A reasonable offer. Tommy says 10,000. Insurance company says 1,000. We typically recover 75 to 85% of bill charges. So let's say for the sake of this example, we say 8,500. The arbiter is going to choose one or the other. Zero negotiation. Winner, loser. 92% of the time, we win that battle. All 50 states, all specialties against all carriers. 92% of the time. Yes, sir. Just a little louder. Option number 2. Yeah, so option number 2 is you hire an employee making $25 an hour, right? They work 9 to 5, and they have to go through this whole process, which PS takes 6 to 8 months. It's timely. And whether they help you recover $1 or $1 million, they're not incentivized to help you recover that money. And you'll say again? Out of network, so 3 categories: emergent, right, on call, inadvertent provider, and there's a little gray area of you're a primary surgeon doing out of network elective cases, and there's a gray area for that third bucket. Nothing. We could do that on the Callagy law side. That's more litigation, dealing with your in-network rates. That's more litigation that wouldn't fall into. Correct. They're supposed to pay. Yes. Yes. Correct. Yes, Arash. Yes. Yep. Yes. So let me answer this. So by the way, what he was saying is if I'm in network, does this apply to me? And because if you're in network, you have a negotiated rates with the carriers, 100% of Medicaid, whatever. Here's what I would say to you, right? What I would recommend, consult, right? Is this isn't a question of be all in or all out. Is I would do an audit of your payer mix and say, hey, who's screwing me the best? And I'm sure you know who they are, right? Yes. I would then consider going out of network with your bottom 3 carriers and doing what I'm saying, right? Because here's what this process inadvertently created. It created a forum for you to negotiate your in-network rates, right? Because this is what it's used to be. So have in-network rates gone up or gone down in the last 10 years? If you think they've gone up, say yes. If you think they've gone down, say yes. Okay. If you think they're going to find Jesus and magically give you all a raise, say yes. Hallelujah. Amen. Praise the Lord. I highly doubt that's going to happen, right? So historically, this is what we would do, right? Here's my second most dramatic. Here's my comedy skit. We would go to an insurance company and go, hey, Horizon, it's been a decade. I think you should give me a little bump. And they go, no. Okay. You talk with your team and you're like, all right, let's ask them one more time. Right, cool. You go back. Hey, Horizon, so I thought about it. I think this is a little unfair. I love people. I work hard. I think you should give me a raise. And they go, I'm not going to tell you again. The answer is no. And you go back to your team and you're like, I think we should buy them custom golf balls and give them a steak dinner and maybe they'll change their mind. Yeah, it's a good idea. Cool. Hey, I think you should give me a raise. And then they say, if you ask me again, I'm going to terminate your agreement. Sit down, shut up, don't ask me again. And then what do? We say yes. And that's what we do. What if you have another option? What if you go, oh yeah? How about I give you a hand gesture that has one finger? I decide that I'm going to go out of network and go arbitrate. We go arbitrate for a year or 2 or 3, and we recover significant income. So in 3 years, we have negotiating power. And we can say, listen, Cigna, I've been doing this for 36 months. Look how much money you gave me. Do you want to renegotiate my in-network rate now? Personally, I would tell you to never do that, but whatever, you choose your life. But you now have leverage to renegotiate your in-network rates. So that is a much more, that's not a black and white combo, doctor, but that's what I would suggest potentially considering from a entrepreneurial business model perspective. Anything else I can answer for you? Yeah. No Medi-Cal. No TRICARE. HMOs meaning? Yeah, if they're going straight to emergency, the answer is yes. Yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is if it's commercial insurance, whether it's state regulated or federally regulated, California has a state surprise bill law. I won't bore you with those details. Pretty much if it's commercial insurance, the answer is yes. So I just want to be respectful of time. We got 14 minutes and going. So let me wrap up the story. So 92% of the time, we win for Tommy, right? So the way it works is we win, that becomes a legally binding federal award. Based on the law, the insurance company is supposed to pay in 30 days. 30-day window, 31, 4-day, arbitration, award, they pay in 30 days. This whole process is supposed to take 5 to 6 months. Do you think they pay in 30 days? That's why I'm going to Washington, D.C. That's what the Enforcement Act is. And listen, I haven't consumed it, but my team did. There was a giant hearing in Washington. I think it was this past Wednesday, with all the CEOs of the insurance companies and Ways and Means Committee. And the headline is, they can't stand the insurance companies. And there's a beautiful tide that is pivoting where our beautiful government, right, whatever our opinions are, I believe we're all aligned, that insurance companies are not doing their job. I think that's one thing we can all agree upon, unless one of you is a spy for the insurance company, should probably leave. But outside of that, if you like insurance companies, you're weird. We could all agree that they're not doing good for us and the medical community. And the general consensus right now is the insurance companies are spitting in the faces of lawmakers because they are looking for loopholes through this law. So the Enforcement Act, which I am battling for, will create triple damages for them not paying on time. I like that. That'll be an enforcement mechanism, which I will use. But let me tell you what I'm doing before I make that happen, because I will, is they don't pay. This is where our history of being a law firm, I'm not a lawyer, right? I have lawyers that are way smarter than me. We start sending missiles and we have relationships. And 7 months into this process, 75% of our clients are paid, right? And here's the good news. The money from the insurance company goes directly to you, not to me. So you control the money flow. There's nothing I could do to hurt you, right? You get the money. I invoice you my contingency fee, which is an average of 20%. We get paid, and then we do it again, right? But hear this out. Hear this out. Tommy bills $10,000. Insurance company, $1,000. 92% of the time, we win. 75 to 85% of bill charges. We win you $8,500. We only get paid on the difference, which is the $7,500. And if you're a surgeon and we lose, you don't even owe us the fees that we fronted for you. It's a completely one-sided risk. Why do I do that? I'm either a complete idiot or a pretty interesting entrepreneur. That's up to you to find out. I front the money, I front the time, I front the energy, and when we lose 8% of the time, you win anyway, because you're either going to keep the $1,000 you would have gotten anywho, or you win. There's no downside, because I only get paid on the difference, which is the $7,500. Now, for one of you, you might be asking yourself, Fernando, why don't you win 100% of the time? And my ridiculous response would be a blind monkey with no pinky could win 100% of the time. What does that mean? Because if the insurance company offered $1,000 and I asked for $1,001, I'm going to win 100% of the time. But I'm leaving $7,499 on the table. You with me? So we've learned that you want to be between 85 and 95, because if you're winning too high, you're leaving money on the table. And our national average every day fluctuates between 92 and 93%. Final 12 minutes. Any questions on that dense portion of how the model works? Yes, Arash. Yeah. The surgeon. They were not. So the winner gets the filing fees back anyway. So from the perspective of the medical provider, it doesn't matter, right? That's why we see it at the cost of business. We win 92% of the time. We're going to lose. We'll eat the fees. It makes it easier so you don't have to think about, oh man, it's one less friction point I'm giving you to realize how much of a no-brainer it is to do something, because your options are you do nothing, you do it yourself, you outsource it, or you work with us. You're going to front the fees yourself. So if you're doing 10 of these cases a month, that's $10,000 a month. I become your bank and I don't charge interest. And you don't have to pay me back. It's one-sided. So final couple points. What's the economic impact? Yes, sir. Let's go with yes and no. So I agree that it wouldn't be for office visits, because remember, this is for emergency scenarios. So office visit off the table. My minimum threshold is $1,000, right? So I work with neuro, orthoplastic spine, hand, OBGYN, anesthesia, IOM, all the way to the bottom, up and down. I'll work with a singular anesthesia from Wichita, Kansas, and I'll work with Rothman Orthopedic, which is a massive orthopedic group, and everything in between. So $1,000 is the minimum because it costs $1,000 to do, right? So it doesn't make economic sense to arbitrate for anything less than that. And when it's 1,000, I don't have a 20% contingency. I have a minimum of 500. So that way we're making a little money, you're making a little money. I rather you make a little money and me make a little money than the insurance companies keep 500 billion monies. You with me? And then in certain scenarios for smaller claims, there's what's known as batching, which I won't get into. It could only get complicated, but I can take a bunch of claims and batch them into one big claim, right? So that way I can take the 4, 5, 600s, I could do 10 of them, and I can do a $6,000 claim versus doing 10 $600 claims. But there's a little bit of nuance on that. So workers' comp would be more on the Callagy law side, right? The short answer is yes, just same business, different model. And DME is durable medical equipment. The answer is I'm figuring that out. Right now, they've become more of my strategic partner than my client, right? And I found ways to generate revenue with them together. But as a client, I'm in a interesting case study right now. So I'd go maybe, right? But I do have great partnerships because you sell, DME sell to surgeons. I want to meet surgeons. We can all help surgeons. And this becomes a very good marketing play for anyone in DME, because if I'm selling product A, this person's selling product B, we all sell the best product, but this person can help you recover money at no cost, you become significantly more interesting, right? It's a value add. That would be my answer. Thank you. Any other questions before I go into the economic impact? Take this baby home, feed you some dessert, and then we can all go home. All right, final, what do we got? 6 minutes and 54 seconds. So here's the economic impact. In last year, right, we did an analysis. The average surgeon, right, I'm not giving you my best case study. I'm giving you an average, which is 6 to 7 surgeries a month, right? Orthoplastic spine, just surgeries. We help the average surgeon recover $127,000 per month in found money. $127,000, right? All verified, track records. I do 4,500 claims a month currently and growing. That's $1.5 million a year in revenue. I think that's at least another extra couple nights out at a nice restaurant, minimum, right? 1.5 million doesn't hurt nobody. So what do we do from here? And remember, those are the averages. Neurosurgeons, our average neurosurgeon case is 84,000. Anesthesia is about 4,500. Orthopedic is 42. Plastic is in the 35 range. So obviously it's going to range depending on your specialty, what you charge. And PS, you control what you bill. I can't get you more money than you bill, right? And there's no bad press because you're not going after the patient for money. The patient's totally out of the dispute, right? So where do we go and what do we do from here? If you're a medical provider, you already had the conversation. You just heard it, but I'm happy for someone on my team to have a private conversation with you. We sign a BAA, we sign a CFA, we do a complimentary analysis, 3 months of your underpayments. And we say, look, this is what you could have gotten. This is what you could get. Do you want to work with us? If so, let us get busy, right? It's painless. It's easy. The most complicated part of our relationship is getting the data from you, because I'll leave that there. That's the most complicated piece. As long as you're an organized practice, it's not hard to get the data. If you're working with a reputable billing and RCM company, I love them because they're a lot more organized than most practices, and we can get the data from them. If you're a medical device salesperson, we can create an economic conversation together on how we can generate revenue, right? If you're an RCM or billing company, same thing. We can have a conversation on how we can create a very interesting piece. We work with large RCM companies that are working with 190 hospitals, and we work with billing companies that are working with 10, 20 practices. It doesn't matter to me, right? There's no too small in my world. So in final, my name's Fernando Valencia. I represent Callagy Recovery. I care about 2 things. I care about helping the medical community stay independent, and I care about shedding light and truth on what the insurance companies are doing. I'm not here to sell you a service because I have nothing to sell. Based on the definition of selling is I have product, I have service, give me money, I give you product service. That's not my model. It's one-sided. I front the risk. We work on contingency. You can't lose. You can only break even or win. And I'm on the same side of the table as you. I'm not across from you. So I ask you to remember, I'm not here as a salesperson. I'm here as an advocate for medical independence. I'm here creating a coalition of statewide medical associations. And I'm here to make sure that you're not in it just to help people, because you deserve, I don't know where in history it was help people or make money. I believe in a world where you can help people and make money. So I'm not leaving. I'm here. If you have any questions, I'll be sitting next to my fiance, Martha. hopefully eating a chocolate hazelnut dessert that I saw on the menu that I'm really excited for. Thank you all for being here and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, let's go boom, boom, and then Dr. Houston. Go ahead.
Doctors that they said that we don't do the billing. We do all of those things that the hospital does. Is there any revenue?
So the answer is that so you're employed by the hospital, right? That's the scenario. Yeah, the answer is yes to both. If you're employed, then the hospital becomes the client. If the hospital is doing your billing, but you're still independent, that's interesting. There's a direct economic impact. If you're employed, you could say to yourself, I'm not making the money, your department does. And depending on your agreement, sometimes when you're employed, if your department generates revenue, some of that impacts you. And depending on your agreement, there could be interesting things that we could do. That's a case by case, Siraj. It wouldn't be a blanket answer. Bo. Want to ask the question again? Yeah.
And the patient went to the hospital, you happen to see those patients do emergency. So those patients, what you're doing is sometimes they can use the because they have their own doctors and the ER physician, maybe state, or was the situation of emergency they don't want to pay you, or they want to pay you at the minimum their own in-network fees. So the question comes if that patient more you can today hire from them since they're not part of the network.
Right. I know we've worked on this together ton with Tom. Do you mind expanding a bit?
So professionals are actually having their physicians on board. So for example, the patient comes into the ER of
The PS Araj and I are on the same team, just to be clear. Go ahead.
so the ER my friend in the cardiologist, the patient comes to the ceiling. According to the law of the standards, your balloon cost, it has to be $90. Basically, the insurance would say that the ER physician doesn't want the insurance, that's what they want. Call him. He is not on board with their insurance. And then he's going and do the procedure because it's a nice guy. I said that I want to help him.
No, not a nice guy. This is I have to do the procedure, and they're going to pay me their in-network fee. So even I'm going to have a contract, but they get their rate from me. Their rate is 65%, 70% of Medicare rate. So they don't pay me that out of network. But
and this is an emergency case. Yeah, it's arbitrary.
There's no set rate that usually you charge 3 times. Let's say this is $1,000, $3,000, but they us as in-network, which is $600.
I'm 98% positive. That would not apply. Yeah, thank you. That would not apply. It has to be commercial insurance. I agree with Bo. Remember, that was not a blanket statement. that was consulting advice on a specific scenario, something like that where we're talking about your business model, we have to go through the intricacies of that business model. I just want to go to Dr. Houston. Yeah, Dr. Houston, you had a question?
Well, I guess my question is a little bit about like don't do arbitration again. You guys do a good job. You guys do the best job. So what's your thoughts that you're able to share?
Yeah, I'm happy to share anything. I would say 28 years. I would say the fact that we do 4,500 cases a month. I would say the fact that we own a lot of data, right? The fact that I have bi-weekly or monthly conversations with 16 out of the 18 IDREs. So I don't have any non-integrous, immoral, unethical relationships with them, but they make money when cases get awarded. So it's in their interest to make sure cases get awarded, right? And since I'm an elephant in the room, we have the economies of scale at our advantage. When one doctor's trying to do 10 and I'm doing 4,500, I'm going to get attention, right? So these are, and then internally, it's our processes, right? We're highly leveraged on AI, which I know we're all happy to have conversations about. So a lot of our process is overseen by humans, but not done by humans, which allows me to scale. If tomorrow I went from 4,500 to 9,000 cases a month, I need 3 employees making $60,000 a year. For one doctor to try to do this on their own, you're going to be paying between 60 and 100 grand a year in salary just to try to do it on your own. So I'll be totally honest. Do we have certain proprietary things that we do? Yeah, we have a system called PAD that we build, that we own, that helps track all this. But the truth is, it's not all that complicated. Like Henry Ford building Model Ts, my system is like Henry Ford building Model Ts. I have a conveyor belt, I have departments, I have leaders, I have AI that do these things, and a lot of it is template based. And once you know how to win, it's easy to win, but winning is not the challenge, getting paid is the challenge. A lot of people could get awards, but getting the money is a whole story. Those would be some of the things that distinguish us, but that would be my best answer to your question.
For any question?
No. As I mentioned, sorry, I didn't catch this doctor's name. But the short answer is no, there's none. I'm happy to work with a single solo practice anesthesiologist from Wichita, and I'm happy to work with anyone here in any giant group. So it's not about, are you big or small? Is the case economically feasible to arbitrate? Would be the question, right? That would be the real question. So as an example, I get a lot of times like the telehealth, right? And that could be considered emergent. It's gray, but it's $150, right? So it just doesn't make sense to spend 1,000 to try to get 300, right? It doesn't make sense. So even though maybe it doesn't make economic sense to do. So it's not about how big or small you are. It's about, is your case economically arbitratable? Anything else from someone who's not a Raj? Yes. My final question, brother. I want to give them their life back.
And this regarding the welfare and good stuff are absolutely correct, and that was the reason that I qualified this question before. If this is not really fair, it's not really fair, that those are something. Unfortunately, we as a system have been used to being broken around by the insurance company, and some of the basic objective that we get is that I put with my insurance, and if I do this, wouldn't that make my standing relationship with the insurance company, with the other company, or with the basic hospital? And I think that it's time for us to actually think about us as, grown up, that we're supposed to control our term. And that if all of us do this, I can guarantee you, because I have done this with the same problem.
Listen, I agree with both parties, and it's interesting. There's a risk question, there's an entrepreneurial question. And if you're willing to go find your own business and you're capable of marketing and selling, which most of the medical community wouldn't identify as that, it's a different delta. So thank you for the clarification, Bo. And it just depends, right? So it's not a blanket statement. It's a great question. I love the fact that we're having the question. If anything, here's the takeaway. We should be asking each other these questions and having these conversations. That's the takeaway. is we're not stuck, we have options. It just depends on your level of risk and what you're willing to do. But any other final questions I can answer from the group? Thank you, guys.
I would just show you.